There's a reason that we say your first shot is often your best one, and we see an example today. Hi everyone, welcome to today's bonus badge cam lesson here at Active Self-Protection. I'm your host, John Correa.
I'm your co-host, Mike Willover. Today's video comes to us from home of the Magic Kingdom, Orlando, Florida.
The Storm Hunter WX weather app is free to download and use and provides you with warning of severe weather even before the National Weather Services issue alerts. This advanced weather app is an important tool for awareness of severe weather that I use every day. Download and use it totally free without in-app purchases on iOS or Android at the link below. The officer whose badge cam we are watching is closing in on a guy who was talking to several younger teenage girls who had reported to him that this guy was asking them their age and basically creeping them out. And so the officer is going to walk this guy down and then interact with him in a moment. We have plenty of badge cam audio here. Let's listen in.
Yo, Atlanta Police, stop. Stop.
What?
Because you have an open container of alcohol. In public, you can't have an open container of alcohol. Give me your alcohol. Give me your ID. Your ID.
I don't have it on me.
Where's your ID?
I left it at home.
How old are you? Not 21.
Yeah.
Right. I can have you arrested right now. I should arrest you. How old are you? You're 19?
Yes, sir.
Right. Step over here. You ever been issued a Florida ID?
Yes, sir.
What do you do for work?
I work at a warehouse.
You spilled my coffee, you're gonna owe me now.
My bad.
You're not free to leave, okay?
I'm not under arrest, am I?
No, you're being detained.
Does that mean cuffs?
No. What's your social? What are you doing at the mall?
I'm just walking around trying to shop. Have a good time while I'm on the weekend, you know? Yes, honest mistake. I understand.
Okay. You're not trying to pick up anybody?
No, sir.
Okay.
I mean, women, yeah. Just having a good time.
You think it's appropriate to walk up to a group of young girls and ask their ages right away?
I was just trying to verify their age before I,
I looked at them. You don't think they were definitely minors?
I didn't intend to.
Right. You don't look like a minor.
Yeah.
You've got a sleeve of tattoos.
Yeah.
That tells me you're at least above 18.
Yeah. It's my mistake. I was trying to verify their age
You don't think that's kind of weird?
I approached them. Yeah. I understand. I was just trying to verify their age before I approached them. You know?
That's how you approach women nowadays? You just go up to them and ask them how old they are? Straight up?
Yeah, so I don't have to, I don't want to be in the wrong there, you know?
Oscar 356 on the cell type. 29P my number.
Go ahead.
Echo 81 on the way.
Stand by. Echo 81.
You ever been arrested? No? You going to school or anything or what?
Yeah, I'm trying to go to school for
You trying or you what?
I'm trying, man. It's not that easy.
For what vehicle?
Yankee 45 to Quebec Echo. The white Lexus.
That's the law.
It's not showing in the hill line.
10-4.
So running on wants and warrants. Make sure you don't have any crazy warrants or anything like that. And I'm going to get you out of here with just a verbal warning on the alcohol, okay? I'm going to suggest you don't approach women in that manner.
Yes, sir.
Or you can approach women however you want.
Yeah.
Children, that's weird. And that's when I got an issue with it.
Okay.
You understand that?
I understand.
Those were children.
Yeah.
The officer very kindly decides to just trespass this guy off the property. Again, the officer's working off duty for the mall. So he's just going to decide, you know what, man, I've kind of had it with you here, and so it's time for you to get out of here. And he's going to just walk him out through the department store. They're going to interact more outside. More important audio coming.
All right, I'll be on my way now.
Hey, Sebastian, before you go, you're free to leave and everything. You have anything on you that would, drugs, guns, bombs, anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay.
I smoked earlier, though.
So you have some weed on you?
No, not anymore.
Okay. Do you mind if I conduct a search of your person real quick?
I don't think you can.
I'm asking.
No.
What do you have inside your bag?
Just some stuff that I need to get home.
Okay. Do you mind showing me?
No, I don't have to.
Okay.
Thank you, though.
Nope. Next time I see you here.
Okay.
I see it. It's a jar, and it's got a little bit of weed in it.
Okay.
You think I'm dumb?
I just finished it.
Okay.
With the...
Is that what's inside your bag?
Yeah. That's it.
Just the weed?
Yeah.
Okay. Take off your bag. Don't resist. You're going to make it a lot worse than you need to. Take off your bag.
Sir, please.
Don't make this worse. Get out of here. Get out of here. Signal 43. Signal 43. Signal 43 from Millennia. White male. White Hispanic male running. He's going towards Millennia Boulevard. He's got a gun. He's just shot at me.
This officer said he chose not to fire because the backstop was too busy for him. He's going to chase this guy for a while. He's going to chase him towards the parking lot of an Olive Garden. We're going to see now a switch to a badge cam for an officer who was on duty and working in the neighborhood and is going to chase this guy as well. He is going to locate him. Let's listen into his audio.
Hey, you see a guy running?
Where are you? I'm at Conway Watergo.
Jesus Christ. Hey! Get down! Everybody get down! Get down! Get down! Everybody get back! Get back! He's over there! Behind the white SUV! White SUV!
We're in a gunfight right now.
He's behind the white SUV! White SUV! Move up! Move up!
Hey, he's down!
Move up!
He's down!
Stand by.
Turns out this perp, who had no criminal history that I could find before this, had a stolen gun that is the one that he pulled on the officers, and in this moment, just a little ways before this, used it to die by suicide. And so the fatal shot came from the suspect's own stolen gun. That's how this one ends in one of the crazier incidents I've seen. We're gonna think lessons.
Officers, please hear me. When it's time to get that gun out and go to work, you need to make that first shot count. Please. Go over to Active Self-Protection Extra, grab yourself a little bit of knowledge on, a skill that you can work on, and go hit the range, would you?
At the beginning here, Mike, I really feel like the officer handled this whole thing pretty darn professionally, like exemplary professionally.
Yeah, I gotta say, John, to any officers working any off-duty gig, mall, concerts, or otherwise, if you're in uniform and you're identifiable as a police officer, nobody knows the difference. You got to still be on your A game. I'm not saying he wasn't. I'm saying make sure that when you're working these off-duty assignments, you're at the top of your game, you're squared away, and you're alert, and you're paying attention. This officer did all that. He started out with, kind of a lecture, which is something, I might have done the same thing for a young man like this. And the thing is here, John, nothing about this guy, other than him being a little off, a little odd to speak to. Nothing about the way he presents sets off any alarms for me, or wouldn't have. No red flags here. It doesn't look like a gangster or a criminal or a thug or anything else. He's like a nice, well-dressed, good-looking young kid. So this took me by surprise, as it did this officer, clearly in this moment.
Well, and so the officer does what we jokingly call the Columbo here, is that he says, hey, you're free to go. But then one more thing, right? Oh, hey, one more thing. And this is a tactic, because once you say you're free to go, now the detainment and contact has ended, and now you're in a consensual encounter again, and so he can ask him other stuff that he couldn't ask him while he was detained, and this is pretty common police procedure.
Yeah, and don't get mad at the cop for doing this. He's following the law. He's following the Constitution. He understands prior to this moment, this person was more or less detained, and any questions he asked him or searches he did would be unlawful unless he was read his rights. So the cop knows what he's doing. So he says, hey, you're free to go, but let me ask you about this and that. I did this 1,000 times. And I did it that way because it is the legal way to do it. Once you're told you're free to go, that means you're free to go. If you stick around and listen to me or answer my questions, that's entirely on you as a member of the public. So just know that. I think John wants to touch on this a little bit more, but if you're detained by the cops, they tell you you're free to go, it might be a good idea to just go.
I think that's a great lesson here. This guy, obviously not, a fine, upstanding citizen or whatever, but listen, if you hear those magic words, you're free to go, go. Especially, goodness sakes, if you got something that could get you in trouble legally and you end up in a gunfight with the cops, golly sakes, you heard the magic words, you're free to go. Go. Thanks. Have a nice day. Well, can I ask you a question about have a nice day while you are gone? You have been told you're free to go. Go. Because otherwise, this is the kind of stuff that can happen.
I'll say it again, John. This is just one of the strangest things I've ever seen. Like, nothing about this kid for me just seemed like a nervous kid who got caught with some booze and a little weed or whatever. Like, pretty standard stuff. Not really worth an arrest unless you think there's something else going on. But obviously this officer, since there was something else going on or there was a little bit more to it, I'm not sure why he detained him further, but he did. Turns out this kid had a stolen gun, so the cops' instincts were spot on. There was more than meets the eye here.
Yeah, and you could kind of see by, he's like, look, I'm going to go. And now the cop's like, nope. Okay, but you've got weed there, so the next time I see you, I'm going to frisk you down. So now we're starting to get into that quasi area. Am I detained right now? Am I not detained right now? Would have been solved much easier if this young man had just gone. You know your rights. You know what the interaction looks like. You gotta go. And just walk away. Listen, if you can't walk away, he'll tell you. Now, he decides instead that he's going to grab that gun because he knows it's going to get found, and now he's going to prison. He decides not to. This officer decides that he will not fire in this place. It's the perp who fired here because he felt like the backstop is too busy and there's too much danger. But I really think that means, man, your skill set has to be high enough that you say, no, I know I'm going to hit this guy from this distance, and he's probably not going to hit me, so I'm winning. And you got to have that confidence that comes from competence.
Couple things here, John. First of all, folks, notice that the officer did not give chase. He realized there wasn't really a good reason for a foot chase, so I think he thought this guy's just taking off, let him go, whatever, live to fight another day. And I think he was as surprised as we were when all of a sudden he produced a gun. His furtive gesture, such as it was to reach into that bag, wasn't, I don't think it's something I necessarily would have picked up on right away, but I think the officer sensed something was wrong. I think in this case, two things. One, what John just said, be confident enough in your abilities, your marksmanship, that you can make this shot. You can stand tall and make this shot calmly and effectively. If not, that little light in front of him looks like it's made of concrete. It might be a good idea to get behind that as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, and I think that using the cover that's available to you is another important point here. And I think sometimes we don't really think about that in the heat of the moment. We don't think about the fact that, hey, there might be cover available. And whether you're a private citizen or a law enforcement officer, if you use that, hey, that gives you another little bit. But, of course, now I know cops are going to shoot from a kneeling position because that's what you need to do here. You need to get down on a knee. And if you feel like, hey, I don't have the kind of marksmanship I really need to, you've got a rest to rest that on. Of course, you're going to ruin your coffee in the process, but you got to be willing to do that, right? Because this guy's pointing a gun at you. He's trying to kill you, or he's at least threatening to kill you, and you need to hit him. And that competence that comes from confidence is important. All right, let's talk about the second officer here, as he is going to get this gun up and decide, well, this guy does need to be shot. And I agree, he does need to be shot. However, when you shoot through this glass, you have no idea, Mike, where that bullet's going.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned it before, but a couple times we went out and got some old windshields from junkyards in our agency with one of our best firearms instructors ever, who did a lot of outside the box stuff, and we practiced shooting through them. Just, on the range. We didn't do it at the junkyard, by the way. We bring them to the range, set them up on a couple of stands, and shoot through them towards a target to see what the bullet did. And that glass is, double or triple layered. It's designed to withstand an impact. Therefore, it's got that laminate in between those layers of glass. And it's a lot for a 9mm or 40 cal or even a 223 round to go through and end up going where you want it to go. It's almost always going to, until you put a hole in that glass, it's not going to go where you want it to. That's just the way ballistics work.
Yeah, and so listen, I don't recommend shooting through the windshield, especially on the corner like this where you don't just have no idea where it's going to go. You got to recognize and hold yourself back. So he gets the gun out of the window here. That's better. But I do want you to look at the grip here, that grip is, shall we kindly say, suboptimal. Now, you go, well, wait a minute, it's kind of the heat of the moment. I agree. And this is why, for officers especially, I want you to spend some time, on the range or in a force-on-force environment, shooting, dry practicing out the window here and knowing how can I get good grip here, good sights, good trigger.
100%. And I know there's probably some officers in big cities who are like, hey, we shoot at a tiny little indoor range. We can't bring a car onto our range or whatever the case may be. Listen, get an office chair or a chair and just get some plywood and make up a dummy window that you can just go through the motions of getting your trunk moved to the side and getting a good grip, and do it over and over again, because there's no reason. This is a perfectly legitimate firing position. You can shoot accurately from here, but I think this officer, having heard his partner screaming and yelling and being shot at, his adrenaline's up. So he probably didn't have sufficient training, like you were talking about, John, to make this work. And let's talk a bit about the backstop as well while we're at it, because it wasn't great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously your backstop is the Olive Garden here, and that's not a great day, right? And okay, I do think here that these officers, when that went down, they did a pretty good job of slowing their roll at this point. Wait a minute, I know the guy's back behind that car. I'm going to let that happen. And then let's all, be cautious about how we approach this. And I lament the fact that this man, the perp here, who, again, for all intents and purposes, no criminal record, didn't seem to be a terrible human, and then turns this into something where he died by suicide, that he took his own life. And listen, I think this is preventable. Guys, don't, be the good, sane, sober, moral, prudent person rather than walking around with a stolen gun in your bag with a little bit of weed, asking young teenage girls what's going on with them. That's not cool and not good. I think these officers at the end of the day, man, pretty darn good job in a lot of ways. The shooting stuff, maybe we make a little bit of progress in, but the soft skills and the teamwork, I'd say these guys covered their ass.